Why is it that the more you like a woman, the more she seems to pull away, get cold, or not be ready for anything serious? But cuando you stay calm, detached, and focused on your life, suddenly women who once ignored you begin to show up, send messages, even chase you. If you are tired of always being the one who sends the first text, who proposes the plans, who waits for her answer while staring at your phone, if you are tired of feeling that you are auditioning for a role in her life instead of being the leading man in your own story, stay with me all the way, because in this video I am going to show you how to play with what is already happening in her mind, in a way that makes her invest, think about you, and yes, start to chase you. And the forbidden technique has nothing to do with lying, manipulating, or hurting anyone. It is forbidden because almost no one teaches it, and because it forces you to break the habits that have made you invisible and predictable in the eyes of women. Before we go into details, I want you to understand something crucial. Attraction is not created by talking more, explaining more, sending more messages, or doing more favors. Attraction is created by tension, psychological tension, emotional tension, the feeling of I want this, but I don't fully have it yet. That tension is what activates dopamine in the brain, the same chemical involved in motivation, desire, and pursuit. When a woman feels that she knows everything about you, that you are always there, that you react instantly to every little thing she does, that tension dies. She feels safe, maybe flattered, but she does not feel the urge to chase you. So the first mental shift you need is this. Your role is not to convince her. Your role is to create the right kind of tension, and then stay centered in your own frame. When you understand this, every message, every silence, every gesture, and every decision stops being random and becomes strategic. You stop playing to not lose, and you start playing to win. Let us start with your identity, because no technique will work if inside you still see yourself as the guy who needs to prove his worth. Most men fail in seduction, not because they do not know what to say, but because they enter every interaction from the position of the chaser. They think, I hope she likes me. That thought alone already puts you in a lower frame. Masculine seduction starts with a different question. Do I actually like her? Does she fit my standards? Does she match the kind of energy I want in my life? This is not arrogance, it is selection. And the brain of a woman detects instantly if you are a man who selects or a man who begs. Psychology and behavioral science show that people value more what is scarce, what is selective, what is not available to everyone all the time. When you behave like a man who has options, who has a mission, who has a life full of meaning with or without her, you automatically trigger that perception of value. She might not be able to explain it logically, but she will feel it. The forbidden technique begins here. Before you try to play with her mind, you must stop letting her play with yours. This means emotional control. Emotional control is not about being a robot. It is about not reacting impulsively to every small stimulus. When she delays her reply, you do not collapse. When she posts something suggestive on social media, you do not become jealous and needy. When she tests you with a sarcastic comment or a cold attitude, you do not chase harder to fix it. You remain grounded. You respond from your values and not from your fear. Women constantly test the emotional stability of a man, often unconsciously. They want to know, will this man lose himself for me, or will he remain in his center? The moment you show that your mood, your self-esteem, and your day depend on her attention, you lose all power of seduction. Now, how do you use this in a practical way so that she starts chasing you? The forbidden technique is a combination of three elements: controlled mystery, focused presence, and strategic absence. I am going to break them down and show you exactly how they work together in daily situations, in texting, in person, and when things seem to cool down. Controlled mystery means that you do not reveal everything at once. Many men, when they finally meet a woman they like, open their entire life like a book on the table. They overshare their past, their fears, their plans, their financial situation, their emotional wounds, everything. They think that this will create intimacy, but what they really create is emotional saturation. There is no space for curiosity, and curiosity is the fuel of chasing. A woman will chase more when there is something about you she has not yet figured out. So you talk with honesty, but you do not vomit your entire biography in the first conversations. You let her ask. You let her pull information from you. When she asks a question, you answer enough to be genuine, but you leave a small door open, a sense that there is more depth behind what you just said. You are not cryptic in a childish way. You are simply a man with layers. This is aligned with what many authors in the field of seduction and social dynamics describe: the difference between neediness and selective disclosure. You are not hiding because you are afraid. You are choosing what to reveal and when. Focused presence is the opposite of scattered attention. When you are with her, you are with her. You look at her eyes. You listen. You notice details. You read her body language. You are not checking your phone every 2 minutes. You are not trying to impress everyone around. You are not half in the conversation and half in your thoughts. High-quality presence is rare today. Most people live distracted, superficial, half-present. When you are fully present, you become memorable. She will feel seen in a way other men do not make her feel. But here is the key. You do not give that level of presence all the time, in every moment, in every interaction. That would kill the tension. You give it when you choose. Think of your presence as a spotlight. When you focus it on her, she feels special, chosen, important. When you move it back to your world, your projects, your routines, she feels the contrast, and that contrast makes her want to step back into that light. That is where strategic absence comes in. Strategic absence does not mean disappearing for weeks, ghosting, or suddenly ignoring her for no reason. That is immature and usually destroys trust. Strategic absence means that your time, your energy, and your attention follow your priorities. You do not abandon your training, your work, your passions, your goals just because she wrote to you. You do not become available 24/7. You answer when it fits your rhythm. You propose plans when it aligns with your life. You let moments of silence exist, not as punishment, but as natural consequence of a life that is full and interesting. Many psychological studies about reward systems show that unpredictable rewards are more stimulating than rewards that come on a fixed pattern. This does not mean you should play with her like a slot machine, but it does mean that if she knows exactly when you will write, exactly how you will reply, exactly how much you will insist, she will get bored. When sometimes you answer fast because you are already on your phone, sometimes you answer later because you are busy, and you do not feel guilty for that, you are communicating something powerful. You have a life. That is extremely attractive. Let us bring this to the level of communication, especially text and social media, because today much of the chasing dynamic happens through a screen. The first rule is simple. You do not use messages to convince her of your value. You use messages to reflect the value you already embody. This means you avoid long paragraphs trying to explain your intentions, justify yourself, or prove that you are different from other men. You do not try to solve conflicts or insecurities by writing huge emotional essays. You communicate with clarity, lightness, and purpose. When you want to see her, you are direct and calm. You say what you would like to do and when. If she is interested but busy, she will usually propose an alternative or show some sign of flexibility. If she constantly postpones, gives vague answers, or disappears, you do not chase. You state your interest once or twice, and then you move your focus elsewhere. This alone already flips the dynamic. Instead of you trying to resell yourself every time, you make it clear that your invitation is there, but it is not infinite. If she wants to be part of your life, she will have to move. The forbidden technique also requires that you stop rewarding cold behavior. Many men do the opposite. The colder she becomes, the more attention they give. She stops answering, and they send even more messages. She pulls away, and they show up with gifts, compliments, and endless patience. On a psychological level, this teaches her that the less effort she makes, the more she receives. This is the worst reinforcement pattern you can create. You are training her subconscious to value you less. Instead, you align your behavior with hers. If she is warm, open, playful, you can mirror that energy and invest more. If she becomes distant, you gently reduce your investment too, not in a passive-aggressive way, but as a man who respects himself. Your standards are simple. You are willing to give attention, affection, and presence to someone who also invests. If that does not happen, you slowly take your energy back. When you do this consistently, two things happen. Women who are not truly interested disappear, and women who feel attracted but were testing your boundaries feel a strong impulse to re-engage, because they feel that your attention is not guaranteed. Now, how do you play with her mind without being manipulative? You do it by understanding how desire is built, and then facilitating that process, instead of interrupting it with anxiety. Desire needs space. Space to grow, space to imagine, space to remember you. When you fill all that space with constant presence, messages, and availability, you kill the desire you are trying to create. So part of the forbidden technique is learning to be okay with silence. After a great conversation or a date, many men feel an inner panic. Should I text her now? Will she forget about me? What if she meets someone else? That panic leads them to immediately send a message to keep the interaction going artificially. Doing this too fast does not give her brain time to miss you. Instead, when you end an interaction on a high note, and then you simply return to your life, You allow her to replay moments in her mind. She remembers something you said, the way you looked at her, the way you made her laugh. That mental replay is where the chase begins. She may check your profile, wonder what you are doing, look for small excuses to contact you. You are not forcing this. You are simply not interrupting it. This is why controlling your impulses is so powerful. Psychological research on self-control shows that the ability to delay gratification is associated with better outcomes in many areas of life. In seduction, delaying your need to feel reassured allows attraction to grow naturally. You let her feel the contrast between your presence and your absence. Another key aspect is how you handle compliments and validation. When you put a woman on a pedestal with your words, especially very early, you create a huge imbalance. Saying she is attractive is normal. Worshipping her like a goddess you barely know screams insecurity. The more you exalt her, the more she feels that you see her as something above you. Instead, the high-value man recognizes her good qualities, but he also sees her humanity. His compliments are specific, grounded, and not excessive. He might acknowledge an aspect of her style, or a subtle trait of her personality, but he does not shower her with praise just to gain favor. This type of calibrated validation keeps her engaged because it is rare. Most men either do not express anything or overdo it. When your compliments are sincere and measured, they mean more. She cannot predict when you will say something, so each word carries weight. Again, we return to the principle of scarcity and unpredictability. What is rare is more memorable. Now let us talk about flirting, because this is where you can deliberately create mental images and emotional tension in her mind. Good flirting is not vulgar or aggressive, it is suggestive. It dances on the edge between playful and serious. It uses implication more than explicit description. When you flirt, you are constantly implying that there is a possibility of something more, but you are not rushing to make it happen. You are comfortable letting the tension stay in the air. For example, instead of explicitly saying that you desire her in a way that puts pressure on her, you can use humor, challenging remarks, subtle hints that show you see her as a woman, not just as a friend, but without turning the interaction into something desperate or needy. This kind of masculine, grounded flirting makes her imagination work. She will think about what you meant. She will replay your words later. That mental replay is you living rent-free in her mind. Another psychological principle you can use ethically is contrast. People feel more strongly about something when they experience contrast. In seduction, this means alternating between playful energy and moments of calm seriousness, between being available and being busy, between talking and listening. If you are always intense, always joking, always talking, there is no contrast. If you are always distant, always cold, always unavailable, there is also no contrast. You want her to experience both your lightness and your depth, both your warmth and your independence. For instance, during a conversation, you might switch from a relaxed, playful tone to asking a deeper question about what she truly wants in life. Then you listen. You do not try to impress, you stay curious. After that, you might go back to a lighter subject. That emotional variety keeps her engaged because she never fully knows what angle you will reveal next. You are not a flat character. You have edges, layers, dimensions. Her mind cannot easily categorize you, so it keeps paying attention. Now we need to address a delicate topic: boundaries. One of the most magnetic traits in a man is the courage to say no. Many men believe that saying yes to everything a woman wants will make her feel more attracted, but in reality it often has the opposite effect. When you never protect your time, your values, or your standards, you communicate that you are willing to sacrifice yourself just to not lose her. On a deep level, that is not attractive. When you calmly say no to plans that do not align with you, when you refuse to accept disrespectful behavior, when you end a conversation or leave a situation that is draining you, you send a clear message: you are a man who values himself. For a feminine woman, this is both challenging and attractive. She realizes that your world does not revolve around pleasing her at any cost. She has to adapt to your frame as much as you adapt to hers. This mutual adaptation is what creates a real connection. But it begins with you being willing to walk away from what does not serve you. Here is where the forbidden technique becomes truly powerful. You must be willing to lose her, to win yourself. If you cannot tolerate the idea of her leaving, you will always betray your own standards to keep her. And every time you betray yourself, you break your own masculine core. The paradox is that when you are genuinely willing to let go of what is not aligned, you become much more attractive, because you are no longer negotiating your value. Her mind feels that. She senses that you are not trying to trap her, but you also will not chain yourself to anyone. Let us translate this into a practical mindset. From now on, your goal with any woman is not to make her stay. Your goal is to show, through your behavior, who you truly are and what your life is about, and then to see if she chooses to move closer. If she does, you continue to invest. If she does not, you do not try to drag her. You simply step back and redirect your energy. This is exactly the opposite of obsession. Obsession is focusing all your emotional resources on one person, regardless of how that person shows up. The masculine, strategic approach is focusing on your path and letting women who resonate with that path join you. You might ask, but how do I know if she is chasing me? It is simple. Pay attention to indicators of investment. Does she initiate contact? Does she propose to see you? Does she respond with enthusiasm or with cold neutrality? Does she respect your time? Does she make efforts to be part of your world? When a woman is chasing, she will look for reasons to be around you, even small ones. She might ask you for your opinion, share parts of her life, show curiosity about your projects. Your job is not to get overly excited and lose your frame when you see that. Your job is to receive that energy, appreciate it, and continue to lead. Now let us talk about leading, because this is another element many men forget. Making her chase you does not mean you never take initiative. It does not mean you sit passively waiting for women to magically appear. A man who never leads is not attractive. The point is balance. You initiate, you set direction, but then you allow her to respond. You create opportunities, and then you see what she does with them. You invite, you do not beg. You propose, you do not pressure. For example, when you want to see her, you might say what you want to do and suggest a day. If she says yes, you take care of the details. You do not throw the responsibility on her. If she is uncertain, you give one more clear option. If after that she remains vague, you let it go. You have taken the initiative, you have shown your interest, and then you have given the situation space to breathe. If she later decides to chase, to propose another day, to apologize for being busy, you can decide whether to re-engage or not. But you are not chasing endlessly. You are leading and then observing. Another important piece is alignment between what you say and what you do. The human brain, especially in the context of attraction and trust, is extremely sensitive to inconsistency. If you talk like a man who values himself, but then behave like someone who accepts any kind of treatment just to not be alone, you break the illusion. She may still like you as a person, but the psychological pull to chase you fades. On the other hand, when your words, your tone, your body language, and your actions are aligned, you become congruent. And congruence is rare. Congruence means that if you say you are busy, you do not suddenly appear immediately available when she finally writes. If you say you are looking for a certain type of connection, you do not spend your time trying to convince someone who clearly does not want the same. If you say you value respect, you politely distance yourself from those who consistently cross your boundaries. This consistency builds a strong frame in her mind. This man is who he says he is. That frame is the foundation of deep attraction. Let us integrate now a layer of Stoic philosophy, because it fits perfectly with the forbidden technique. Stoicism teaches that you control your actions and your attitude, but you do not control the outcomes. You do not control whether a woman will like you, stay with you, or chase you. You control the way you show up, the energy you embody, the principles you live by. When you internalize this, you stop trying to control her, and you start truly mastering yourself. That itself is deeply attractive, because most people are slaves of external validation. So in practice, you focus on becoming emotionally stable, physically presentable, financially responsible, mentally sharp, and spiritually grounded. You invest in your body, your mind, your skills, your mission. You cultivate a life that you genuinely enjoy. When a woman comes in, she feels that you are not expecting her to save you from your own emptiness. She is not your escape from boredom. She is an addition to an already meaningful path. That shift alone will change the way women perceive you. At this point, you may wonder, where is the forbidden part? Everything you are saying sounds like self-respect and emotional intelligence. Exactly. The forbidden part is that almost no one in modern dating truly practices this. People are addicted to instant gratification, constant attention, and emotional drama. The idea of not reacting immediately, of not trying to control the other person, of letting silence exist, of walking away from what is not aligned, feels forbidden because it goes against the emotional impulsiveness of the times. But if you have the discipline to live like this, you will stand out effortlessly. To make this ultra-practical, I want you to imagine your next interactions with a woman you like structured around 3 inner questions. Am I in my frame right now? Am I respecting my own standards? And am I giving her space to invest? Before you send a message, ask yourself, is this message aligned with the man I want to be? Or is it coming from fear? Before you agree to something, ask, does this respect my time and my values? And when you feel the impulse to chase, to insist, to over-explain, pause and ask, have I given her the opportunity to move towards me, or am I doing all the work? If you realize that you have been the one chasing non-stop, do not blame yourself. You are acting from old conditioning, from a culture that tells men that they must constantly prove themselves. But from now on, you will do it differently. You will be intentional. You will speak less and say more. You will do fewer moves, but each move will have more weight. You will cultivate a presence that makes women curious, not a performance that makes you exhausted. Remember this, a woman cannot chase a man who is chasing himself. When you are fully committed to your own growth, your own standards, your own mission, your energy is moving forward. You are not stagnant. You are not sitting there waiting for something to happen. You are building something. That forward movement is magnetic. She will feel it. And if she has the emotional maturity to appreciate it, she will want to be part of it. Playing with her mind in the healthy sense is about understanding how desire works, and then letting her feel the full spectrum of emotions that come with being around a strong man. Curiosity, admiration, a bit of uncertainty, excitement, challenge, comfort. You are not trying to keep her in a permanent state of anxiety. You are not creating unnecessary drama. You are simply not dulling all the edges of reality to make everything safe and predictable. You are letting polarity exist. From this moment on, your job is not to ask, how do I make her like me? But how do I become the kind of man whose presence automatically makes women question their own expectations? You become that man by living in truth, by mastering your impulses, by respecting your time, by speaking clearly, by protecting your energy, and by daring to walk away from what does not match your value. When you live like this, women will chase you, not because you tricked them, but because their mind recognizes something rare, a man they cannot control with games, but who also does not try to control them. A man who chooses, instead of begging to be chosen. So take a breath, look at your recent patterns with women, and be brutally honest. Where have you been the chaser? Where have you given too much for too little in return? Where have you tried to buy affection with attention? Decide that this version of you ends now. The forbidden technique is a new default. You lead, you reveal yourself slowly. You give focused presence, then you return to your world and let her come to you. No more begging, no more chasing ghosts. If you apply this consistently, not just for a day but as a way of life, you will notice something almost strange at first. The same women who once left your messages unseen will start to respond differently. New women will show interest without you trying so hard. Some will test you, of course, but now you will see those tests for what they are. Opportunities to show your stability, not invitations to lose control. And over time, you will realize that the real mind you have mastered is not hers. It is yours.